Ladies and gentlemen, friends, colleagues, look around you. We live in a world obsessed with tangible wealth, don't we? We dedicate our lives to the pursuit of gleaming diamonds, the weighty allure of gold, and the liquid power of oil. We protect these treasures with unyielding vigilance, ensuring them against every conceivable threat. And, tragically, we even wage wars in their name. We've been conditioned to believe that the greatest riches lie buried deep beneath the earth's surface or reside in vast financial empires. But I'm here today to challenge that deeply ingrained belief, because the most valuable asset, the most extraordinary resource we will ever possess isn't found in a vault, a mine, or an oil field. It lives, breathes, and thrives right here, between our ears, your mind. Your mind isn't precious simply because of the facts it has accumulated, the knowledge it holds, or the experiences it has logged. No, its true, inestimable value lies in its profound capacity for what it can become. It's the ultimate wellspring of potential, constantly evolving, perpetually adapting, and endlessly surprising. Today, I want to talk about this profound, often underestimated, real value of your mind. More importantly, I want to discuss how we can begin to treat it with the reverence, the care, and the investment that such an unparalleled treasure truly deserves. Let's embark on a journey together to explore 6 powerful truths. These aren't just abstract concepts. They are fundamental principles that, when understood and applied, can fundamentally awaken the way we see, the way we engage with, and the way we ultimately use our minds. Get ready to unlock the secret powerhouse that resides within you. Truth 1. What you feed your mind. It becomes the garden of the self. Let's begin with a foundational truth. Your mind is not a machine. It's not some static device that, once assembled, simply whirs along in the same predictable fashion forever. No, it's something far more organic, far more alive. Think of your mind as a living garden, and like any garden, it responds, it adapts, it grows, and, crucially, if neglected or poorly tended, it also withers. Every single input we allow into our minds acts like a seed, or perhaps a drop of water, or even a harmful chemical. Every word we hear, whether spoken aloud or read silently, every idea we absorb, from a captivating book to a fleeting thought on social media, every conversation we entertain, be it deeply meaningful or merely casual gossip, all of it becomes part of the soil that either nurtures and enriches the vibrant landscape of our inner world, or, tragically, poisons it, leaving it barren and desolate. We are all gardeners, whether we consciously realize it or not. We're constantly cultivating something within our minds. The question isn't whether your mind is being fed. That's a given. It's always consuming something. The truly vital question, the one that holds the key to your future, is, well, what are you feeding it? We often profoundly underestimate how incredibly subtle, almost imperceptible, everyday inputs can subtly yet powerfully shape the entire direction of our thoughts, our feelings, and ultimately, our lives. Let's consider a common scenario. Think of it this way. If you consistently spend your precious mornings, those sacred hours when your mind is often most receptive, scrolling mindlessly through social media feeds where the loudest voices are, almost invariably the angriest, where outrage reigns supreme, or if you habitually tune into news segments meticulously crafted around fear-mongering narratives and the relentless drumbeat of catastrophe, what do you think will happen? Slowly, insidiously, your mind begins to mirror that external chaos. You won't even notice it at first. It's too gradual, too insidious. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, your perspective starts to narrow. Your once expansive view of the world begins to shrink. Optimism, that vital spark of human spirit, begins to feel incredibly naive, almost childish. Trust in others, that fundamental cornerstone of human connection, becomes a risky, dangerous gamble. And hope begins to feel like an impossible luxury, something reserved for others, for a different, more benevolent world. What's truly fascinating, and perhaps a little terrifying, is that we don't even need grand, traumatic experiences for our mind to begin spiraling into negativity. We simply need repetition, day after day, week after week, month after month, just enough consistent exposure to certain types of input. Feed your brain enough fear, and over time, fear becomes familiar. It becomes a comfortable, albeit debilitating, companion. Feed it enough doubt about yourself, about others, about the future, and doubt gradually morphs into your default setting, the lens through which you perceive everything. That's the insidious trick of it all. Not all toxins shout their presence. Some merely whisper, and over time, those persistent, insidious whispers can completely reshape your entire inner monologue, your core narrative about yourself and the world. Truth 2. The transformative power of belief. Your mind, a muscle. This concept of feeding your mind isn't merely philosophical, it's profoundly scientific. There's a powerful and deeply revealing study conducted at Stanford that completely flipped a common assumption about human potential on its head. Students participating in this research were split into two distinct groups. One group was explicitly told that intelligence is a static, fixed trait. Essentially, you either have it or you don't. Your intellectual capacity is predetermined and unchangeable. The other group, however, was taught a radically different concept, that intelligence is akin to a muscle. The more effort you apply, the more diligently you engage it, challenge it, and work it, the more it grows and strengthens. The results of this study were nothing short of profound. The students who were instilled with this growth mindset didn't just perform better academically. They showed significantly higher levels of emotional resilience when faced with setbacks. Their fundamental beliefs about their own potential literally changed the way they approached problems, how they dealt with failure, and their overall attitude toward learning. That simple, yet incredibly powerful, input, the belief that intelligence could grow, fundamentally altered their entire life trajectory. Now, take a moment and apply that same transformative concept to your own mind, to your own life. Imagine the possibilities if you continually feed your mind inputs that consistently reflect possibility, challenge, and boundless curiosity. What will happen? Your entire mental landscape will inevitably become a fertile place of immense potential. Problems, which once seemed like insurmountable punishments, will transform into intriguing puzzles waiting to be solved. Obstacles, which once loomed like impenetrable walls, will suddenly appear as exciting invitations for innovation and growth. You'll begin, almost unconsciously at first, to reframe all your experiences through the vibrant lens of opportunity, rather than the limiting lens of threat. Your inner dialogue, that constant, often unconscious conversation you have with yourself, will naturally evolve. It will become less about the anxious, self-doubting question of "can I handle this?" and shift toward the empowering, inquisitive question of "what can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger, smarter, more capable?" Truth 3. Neuroplasticity. The scientific foundation of changeethis isn't some idealistic daydream conjured from positive affirmations and wishful thinking. This is fundamental biology. The groundbreaking science of neuroplasticity teaches us, with undeniable evidence, that our brain is not a fixed, immutable organ. On the contrary, it is an astonishingly dynamic, adaptable, and flexible structure, capable of constantly rewiring itself based on how we use it, how we think, and what we experience. The more consistently we engage with empowering narratives, stories of resilience, tales of overcoming adversity, ideas that inspire growth and possibility, the more those corresponding neural pathways in our brains strengthen, becoming superhighways of thought and belief. Our brains literally build and reinforce the very connections that support the thoughts we choose to entertain, and the same, unfortunately, is true in reverse. The more we consistently ruminate on what could go wrong, the more we dwell on fears, anxieties, and limiting beliefs, the stronger and more deeply ingrained that negative circuitry becomes. It's like carving a deeper and deeper groove in a record. Eventually, the needle of your thoughts will almost automatically fall into that familiar, negative pattern. It's not that one version of reality is inherently truer than the other. It's simply that whichever narrative, whichever set of beliefs, whichever internal dialogue you consistently feed becomes louder, stronger, more automatic, and ultimately becomes your dominant reality. This is why awareness is everything. It's the first critical step toward conscious control. Most people, sadly, go through their day like passive recipients of information, like sponges soaking up whatever happens to be floating around them. They remain blissfully unaware, or perhaps willfully ignorant, that every single input they encounter, no matter how seemingly trivial, is leaving an indelible fingerprint on their psyche. That casual, seemingly harmless gossip you listen to at lunch, that critical, undermining voice you've replayed in your head since childhood, perhaps planted by a parent or a teacher, that sarcastic tweet you laughed at, even though it carried a cynical undertone. None of it is neutral, absolutely none of it. Each piece of information, each interaction, each thought is planting something. It's either planting seeds of growth and possibility, or seeds of doubt, fear, and limitation. Truth for the two wolves. The choice is yours. There's a timeless, profoundly resonant story that beautifully illustrates this fundamental truth of choice. It speaks of an old Cherokee man, a revered elder, who was asked by his grandson how he remained so wise, so kind, so remarkably calm in a world that felt increasingly chaotic and challenging. The wise grandfather gently explained, "My son, inside me are two wolves. One is fear, anger, jealousy, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. The other is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. They are always fighting a fierce battle within me." The young grandson, listening intently, then looked up and asked, his eyes wide with curiosity, "Which one wins, grandfather?" The old man paused, a knowing smile touching his lips, and replied, with quiet certainty, "The one I feed." That story, deeply embedded in indigenous wisdom, isn't just about wolves. It's a profound metaphor for the daily, moment-by-moment choice we all possess. Every single day, from the moment you wake up until your head hits the pillow, you get to consciously decide what part of your mind, what wolf, you are actively feeding. You get to decide whether you choose to consume content, be it news, social media, conversations, or even your own internal thoughts, that relentlessly fuels your fear, reinforces your anxieties, and confirms your worst suspicions. Or, conversely, you get to choose content that fuels your faith, ignites your hope, and reminds you of humanity's inherent good and your own boundless potential. You get to choose whether you surround yourself with people who consistently see the world through a limiting lens of scarcity, always focusing on what's lacking, on what they can't have, on why things won't work. Or you get to choose to align yourself with individuals who embody a mindset of abundance, who see opportunities everywhere, who uplift and inspire you to see the vast possibilities in every situation. You get to choose whether the thoughts you habitually replay in your mind, those looping internal narratives, are the ones that relentlessly build you up, affirm your worth, and encourage your growth, or if they are the ones that consistently tear you down, undermine your confidence, and trap you in cycles of self-doubt. Truth 5. Reality versus interpretation. The power of your lens. Of course, let's be realistic. Life doesn't always make that choice easy. We live in a world filled with real challenges, undeniable pain, profound injustice, and heart-wrenching loss. Feeding your mind with possibility and optimism does not mean ignoring these harsh realities. It does not mean putting on a naive, rose-tinted filter and pretending that everything is fine when it's not. What it does mean is choosing the lens through which you interpret reality. It means acknowledging the pain, looking it squarely in the face, but fiercely refusing to let it become your entire identity, your defining characteristic. It means understanding, with absolute clarity, that while you might not always control every single external event that happens to you, you absolutely, unequivocally control how you digest it, how you respond to it, and what meaning you choose to drive from it. And let's not pretend that nourishing your mind is a what-I'm, set-it-and-forget-it event, like checking off an item on a to-do list. Just like you wouldn't expect a single healthy meal, no matter how nutritious, to sustain your physical body forever, you cannot expect one inspiring quote, one motivational podcast episode, or one uplifting conversation to magically offset years, even decades, of toxic inputs and ingrained negative thought patterns. No, this is daily work. This is intentional work. This is the consistent, deliberate effort of a true gardener tending to their most precious plot. It means actively curating your influences as if your life literally depends on it. Because, in a very real and profound sense, it does. It means having the courage to actively unsubscribe from drama, both online and in your personal life. It means assertively saying no to conversations, relationships, or environments that relentlessly pull you back into small thinking, into scarcity mindsets, or into petty grievances. It means actively seeking out voices, books, podcasts, and communities that expand your mind, challenge your assumptions, and constantly remind you of what's truly possible for you and for humanity. If you genuinely want to cultivate peace in your life, you must intentionally feed your mind moments of silence, of stillness, of quiet reflection. If you yearn for the vibrant flow of creativity, you must feed your mind with space, unstructured, time for daydreaming, exploring, and allowing new ideas to emerge without judgment or pressure. If you desire unshakable confidence, feed your mind with the celebration of small wins, with acts of self-compassion and with kind, encouraging words, both from others and, crucially, from yourself. If you seek crystal-clear clarity amidst life's complexities, feed it truth, even when that truth feels uncomfortable, even when it challenges your deepest held assumptions. We live in a world where attention is the new currency, where everyone, every brand, every platform, is relentlessly trying to rent space in your mind. But never forget, your mind is sacred ground. What grows there, what takes root and flourishes within that sacred space, will fundamentally shape your life, define your relationships, inform your choices, and determine the very trajectory of your future. You must guard it with the same fierce determination and protective instinct with which you would guard your physical home from a raging fire. This isn't just about superficial positive thinking. It's about conscious living. It's about deeply realizing that your mental environment is not just a passive backdrop to your existence. No, it is the very canvas upon which you are painting the masterpiece of your life. And every single thing you consume, every thought you entertain, every belief you internalize, becomes an indelible stroke, a vibrant color, or a subtle shading in the magnificent picture you're creating with your life. So, I urge you to ask yourself, with profound honesty, today, what exactly am I feeding my mind? What specific thoughts am I rehearsing over and over again? What deeply ingrained beliefs am I unconsciously reinforcing with every moment? Because the answers to those questions will tell you not just where your mind is today, but with unsettling accuracy, exactly where your entire life is heading tomorrow. The future is being cultivated in the garden of your mind right now. Truth 6. The mind learns from pain. The forge of wisdom. With humans, by our very nature, instinctively try to run from pain. It's uncomfortable. It's unsettling. It makes us feel profoundly vulnerable. It exposes us in raw, unvarnished ways that success never does. When we're succeeding, we feel strong, capable, in control. But when pain hits, it strips away those defenses, leaving us exposed and raw. Yet, here's another profound truth. Your mind is not simply wired to chase success, to bask in comfort, or to avoid discomfort at all costs. Your mind, in its most intricate and powerful design, is fundamentally wired to learn. And sometimes, paradoxically, pain is the only language it truly understands, the only messenger powerful enough to break through our complacency and force a deeper understanding. The truth is, the mind learns just as much, if not more, from moments of failure, from the crushing weight of loss, from the searing ache of heartbreak, and from the sting of rejection, as it does from the thrill of victory, the warmth of love, and the glow of recognition. In fact, some of the deepest, most indelible lessons, the most permanent rewiring of who we are at our core, come not from the sun-drenched mountaintops of triumph, but from the dark, arduous valleys of adversity. Pain isn't merely a wound that needs to be healed. It's a powerful message, an undeniable signal, an incredibly effective teacher. Think back to a time when something profoundly didn't go your way. Perhaps a significant relationship ended unexpectedly, leaving you adrift. Maybe a crucial business deal collapsed, shattering your financial hopes. You lost something immensely valuable, perhaps even a part of your former self, your identity. In that specific, agonizing moment, It felt as though your entire world was irrevocably breaking apart. But what was truly happening beneath the surface, your mind, in its infinite capacity for growth, was recording data. It was diligently collecting invaluable insights, critical clues, and recurring patterns. It wasn't doing this to punish you. It was doing it to prepare you. It was building an internal library of resilience, a deep well of experiential wisdom for future challenges. Let's look at the legendary figure of Thomas Edison. He famously made over 1,000 attempts, over 1,000 so-called failures, before successfully inventing the incandescent light bulb. And yet, he never once saw them that way. He viewed each and every failure not as an endpoint, but as a stepping stone, as vital information, as an indispensable part of the grand journey of discovery. Never a detour from it. That's the profound mindset that transforms sheer pain and repeated setbacks into unstoppable progress. Edison's unparalleled brilliance wasn't just in his intellectual capacity. It was in his extraordinary ability to endure, to extract lessons from, and to persist through the very challenges that would cause most people to give up entirely. He didn't run from the pain of repeated setbacks. He worked with it. He didn't take failure personally. He took it seriously as invaluable data for iteration and improvement. What happens when we fundamentally stop seeing pain as an insurmountable obstacle and begin to courageously see it as a collaborator? Imagine the vast new doors that would suddenly swing open for you. Imagine the unparalleled strength we would develop, the robust mental muscles we would meticulously build. Pain, you see, has an uncanny ability to sharpen our focus. It strips away the superficial and reveals the undeniable truth. When something truly hurts, it cuts through all the noise, all the distractions, all the polite pretenses. It forces us, sometimes brutally, to confront what genuinely matters, what is essential. It's in those raw, unfiltered moments when you're completely stripped of comfort, when you can no longer pretend that everything is okay, that profound clarity almost always arrives. There's something deeply sacred about pain. It's uncompromisingly honest. It doesn't sugarcoat reality. It doesn't offer false comforts. And if you listen closely, with an open heart and a receptive mind, it teaches you exactly what you need to know, not just what you want to hear. Success, by its very nature, feels undeniably good. It brings joy, validation, and comfort. But precisely because of this, success can sometimes be a powerful distractor. It can inadvertently breed complacency, making us soft, less vigilant, less hungry for growth. But pain demands our full, undivided attention. It doesn't allow for casual indifference. It humbles you in the most profound ways. It meticulously recalibrates your priorities, forcing you to reevaluate what truly matters. And if you are brave enough to face it head-on, instead of desperately fleeing from it, you will emerge from the crucible of suffering with something infinitely more valuable than fleeting comfort. You will emerge with character. Think, for a moment, of the people who inspire us the most in life. Are they typically the ones who sailed through life on calm seas, utterly untouched by hardship? Rarely. They are almost invariably the ones who fell, who stumbled, who were counted out, who experienced things that would unequivocally break most people. But they got back up. They rose again, not just because they possessed some innate, superhuman strength, but because they learned. They didn't allow the pain to define them, to label them as forever broken. Instead, they allowed it to refine them, to polish them, to forge them into something stronger, more resilient, and more profoundly authentic. There's a world of difference between being defined by pain and being refined by it. You simply cannot build genuine resilience in theory. You build it only in practice. You build it by consciously walking through the fire of adversity and, crucially, by not losing yourself, your core values, or your sense of self to its consuming flames. You build it by sitting with pain long enough to discern, to truly hear what it is trying to tell you. Sometimes it's telling you to slow down, to rest, to regroup. Sometimes it's telling you, with unmistakable clarity, to change direction entirely, to pivot, to release what no longer serves you. And sometimes, profoundly, it's just reminding you that you are human, that vulnerability is not weakness, and that it's perfectly okay not to have every single answer or to have it all perfectly figured out. When we consciously, deliberately avoid pain, we simultaneously and inevitably avoid growth. The mind, in its boundless capacity for development, needs contrast. It learns most powerfully from pressure. It learns from missteps, from errors, from things not going according to plan. That's precisely how it builds depth, how it cultivates a richness of understanding that cannot be gained otherwise. That's how it builds wisdom, not just intelligence, the ability to acquire and apply knowledge, but the kind of profound wisdom that doesn't just know what to do, but deeply understands why it needs to be done. Pain, in its most transformative capacity, can break you open in the best possible way imaginable. It strips away the protective layers of ego, of false pretenses, of external validations. It mercilessly reveals exactly where the cracks are, where your vulnerabilities lie. And paradoxically, that is precisely where the light gets in, where true healing and deeper understanding can begin. You learn what you are truly made of, not when things are easy, but when they fall apart. You discover what genuinely matters to your soul, not when everything is going your way, but when everything feels like it's slipping away, when you're clinging to the last threads of hope. Rewriting your internal narrative, the path to resilience. Let pain be your mentor, not your enemy. Let it be your guide, not your tormentor. It possesses something profoundly important to teach you that unadulterated success never will. It will show you with crystal clarity who you are beneath the surface, beyond the roles you play and the masks you wear. It will test your deepest convictions, forcing you to examine what you truly believe in. It will reveal your authentic values, the bedrock upon which your life stands. It will whisper truths that you may have diligently, perhaps even desperately, buried under layers of distraction, under the relentless pursuit of performance, and under the crushing weight of perfectionism. And if you can lean into that discomfort, if you can stay present with the difficult emotions instead of immediately shutting down, dissociating, or attempting to numb them, you will, without a doubt, find a version of yourself that is stronger, more grounded, more compassionate, and more vibrantly alive than the version that was never truly challenged. You simply cannot shortcut wisdom. You cannot hack your way to genuine strength. You earn it. You become it. You forge it through the scars etched upon your soul, through the tears that have watered your inner garden, through the late nights spent wrestling with difficult questions, through the questions that go unanswered, and through those excruciating moments when you genuinely think you can't go on, but against all odds, you do. That, my friends, is precisely where authentic transformation lives. It resides in that sacred, often painful, tension between what hurts and what ultimately heals. The most resilient minds are not the ones that naively pretend pain doesn't exist. They are the ones that, with profound courage, welcome it, sit with it, and consciously allow it to reshape them, not into something bitter, resentful, or broken, but into something braver, more empathetic, and deeply rooted. You are not irrevocably broken because you have been hurt. No, you are becoming something extraordinary because you are learning. And every single painful moment you have endured, every single scar you carry, has been meticulously carving invaluable wisdom into the very architecture of your mind. Don't run from that profound truth. Don't numb it with distractions. Don't deny its transformative power. Instead, let it guide you. The mind truly learns as much from pain as it does from success, perhaps, in some ways, even more. And when we finally learn to courageously embrace that truth, when we stop resisting the invaluable lessons that adversity brings, we unlock the real, untamed power of being human, not perfect, not unshakable, not immune to suffering, but infinitely teachable, profoundly courageous, and constantly, beautifully evolving. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the mind worth building. That is the treasure beyond compare. And in a world that so often glorifies relentless hustle, celebrates the non-stop grind, and champions constant outward achievement, we've perhaps forgotten this most basic, yet most profound, truth, that sometimes the deepest work, the most essential growth happens in the quiet, sometimes painful, moments within. It's intending to that inner garden, choosing its inputs with care, and embracing its storms. That we truly become extraordinary. Our minds weren't designed to run at full speed forever. We've somehow gotten lost between the never-ending stream of deadlines, notifications, and social media scrolls, confusing constant stimulation with genuine growth. We operate under the assumption that if we're not consuming content, learning something new, or working on the next big project, we're simply wasting precious time. But this belief, this insidious lie, is subtly robbing us of some of life's most profound moments of insight, clarity, and peace. The human mind is incredibly powerful, truly beyond measure. Yet, it's not infinite, it's not tireless, and at most, certainly isn't immune to burnout. Think of it like this. Just as our muscles scream for rest after an intense workout, our brains desperately need recovery after periods of deep focus, intense problem solving, or significant emotional processing. But here's the insidious difference. Unlike a sore leg that might force you to sit down and rest, your mind will often silently carry its burden, pushing through until it simply can't anymore. That's when we hit a wall. That's when we start to wonder why we feel perpetually foggy, strangely disconnected, riddled with anxiety, or even completely numb. The answer is painfully simple. We've been sprinting through life without ever letting our minds catch their breath. Genuine productivity doesn't spring from cramming every single minute with activity. It comes from pacing, from finding a natural rhythm, and from deeply honoring the innate ebb and flow of our attention, energy, and emotions. When we never pause, we don't just miss the obvious opportunity to rest. We crucially miss the chance to think clearly, to connect disparate ideas, and to tap into that deep well of inner wisdom we all possess. Neuroscience offers a fascinating glimpse into what happens when we actually allow ourselves to pause. It's a phenomenon known as the default mode network. This isn't just some abstract concept. It's a specific part of your brain that literally lights up and becomes highly active when you're at rest, when you're not laser-focused on an external task. It's during these quiet, seemingly unproductive moments that this incredible network takes over, orchestrating some of the most essential human processes. We're talking about self-reflection, pure imagination, the intricate weaving of memory, and the careful crafting of long-term planning. This is the very neural playground where your sense of self truly takes shape. It's where you meticulously piece together fragments of your past to make coherent sense of your personal story. And critically, it's where you dare to dream about what's next, envisioning possibilities for your future. But here's the crucial caveat. This powerful network only fully activates when we consciously step away from the relentless noise of constant doing. Just consider that for a moment. The very things that give our lives profound direction and meaning, our deeply held purpose, our moments of crystal clear clarity, the spark of our creativity, they don't burst forth from the clamor of action. No, they truly come alive in the silence of rest. Yet, if we're honest, how often do we inadvertently silence this vital network by simply never stopping? How frequently do we miss the golden chance to truly understand ourselves, to delve into our inner world, because we're far too preoccupied just trying to keep up with everything around us? Let's be unequivocally clear. Stillness isn't laziness. It's not idleness or a lack of ambition. On the contrary, stillness is a profound state of allowing, a deep trust that in quiet moments, incredibly important things are happening beneath the surface. It's the conviction that in silence, genuine breakthroughs are born. Even giants like Albert Einstein intuitively understood this. He wasn't just a theoretical physicist. He was a master of stillness. He'd famously sail alone for hours on end, not with any particular destination in mind, but simply to think. He grasped that truly groundbreaking ideas don't just appear on command. They need space to rise. He knew that brilliance demands breathing room, and that no insight worth having ever materialized while frantically answering emails at 2 a.m. Look back through history. Some of the greatest innovations, earth-shattering discoveries, and profound personal transformations didn't emerge from chaos. They emerged from stillness, from the long, contemplative walks, from the quiet, early mornings before the world woke up, from those meditative gazes out of train windows. These were moments where the mind was gently allowed to wander, where nothing was overtly expected, but where, paradoxically, everything became possible. But somewhere along the line, we've developed a deep-seated fear of these very moments. We're terrified of boredom, of silence, of the discomfort of simply being alone with our own thoughts. So what do? We reflexively fill every tiny crack in our day with yet more stimulation, endlessly scrolling social media while waiting in line, compulsively checking emails at red lights, or watching mind-numbing videos just to fall asleep. We're gripped by the fear that if we're not actively doing something, we're doing nothing. But there's a profound, almost spiritual difference between doing nothing and cultivating presence, between numbing ourselves out and truly tuning into our inner world. We desperately need to reclaim the sacred art of doing less, not as a retreat from ambition or a surrender to mediocrity, but as a crucial strategy for sustainability. In a relentlessly demanding world, we must learn to honor rest. As a form of discipline, it's the discipline to trust the process, to truly believe that quiet isn't wasted time. It's time deeply invested in cultivating deeper clarity. Just because you're not constantly producing doesn't mean you're not progressing. Think of it like a seed planted in fertile soil. Some of the most important growth happens invisibly, below the surface, but it's absolutely foundational to everything that eventually blooms above ground. You are not a machine. You were not designed to operate 24/7. Even the most powerful engines need to cool down, to undergo maintenance. Even the most brilliant minds need dedicated space to breathe, to integrate, to simply be. Your mind doesn't just crave stimulation, it desperately needs integration. And that vital integration happens primarily during periods of rest. When you deliberately give your brain a moment of peace, it responds in miraculous ways. It rewards you with unexpected wisdom. It surprises you with sudden flashes of insight. It replays complex conversations in a completely new light, revealing nuances you missed before. It effortlessly solves problems that you didn't even realize you were stuck on. This isn't just a happy coincidence, it is profound design. Start paying closer attention to when your absolute best ideas consistently come to you. It's almost never in the chaotic middle of a high-pressure meeting, or while you're frantically juggling 3 demanding tasks at once. No, it's typically in those unproductive moments, in the shower, during a leisurely walk, while driving with no music on, just letting your thoughts drift. In these seemingly idle moments, your brain is actually hard at work, diligently making sense of your life, your aspiration, and your deeper purpose. So, give yourself explicit permission to pause, put the phone down, take a walk with no specific destination in mind, sit in silence without feeling the compulsive need to fill it with noise. Rest not as a luxurious reward you've earned, but as a fundamental requirement for your well-being and effectiveness. The world doesn't need more exhausted minds desperately trying to keep up. It desperately needs more rested minds that are calm and bold enough to truly lead. When you consciously make space for stillness, you simultaneously make space for brilliance to emerge. When you rest your mind, you don't just recharge, you reset your entire vision. You realign with your deepest self, and from that profound alignment comes something infinitely more powerful than sheer hustle. It gives birth to wisdom, it ignites clarity, it unveils the kind of profound knowing that can't be taught in any classroom. It can only be patiently uncovered from within. Let silence be your teacher, revealing lessons that noise could never impart. Let stillness meticulously rebuild what relentless stress has eroded. And let rest be the fertile ground where your next beautiful chapter begins. Not because you forced it into existence, but because you gracefully made the necessary space for it to arrive. What you believe is far more than just a passive thought idly floating around in your mind. It is, quite literally, the architect behind your entire reality. Your beliefs are the blueprint, the scaffolding, and the very bricks with which you construct your world. They don't merely color your perception, they actively, fundamentally construct it. The way you perceive yourself, the strategies you employ to navigate challenges, how you respond to both praise and criticism. Every single one of these responses loops back to a single, incredibly powerful source: what you believe to be true about yourself. Consider this scenario: if you walk into a room firmly believing that you don't truly belong there, every interaction, every glance, Every quiet whisper in that room will subtly seem to confirm your deepest fears. A raised eyebrow from across the room transforms into an undeniable judgment. A hushed conversation between others becomes irrefutable proof of your exclusion. A slight stumble over your words becomes immediate, crushing evidence that you're simply not enough. Your mind doesn't just passively observe the world around you, it actively filters it, edits it, and meticulously frames it to fit the story you already hold to be true about yourself. And if that core story is unfortunately rooted in pervasive self-doubt, your mind becomes a relentless master at finding every piece of supporting evidence. This isn't a sign of weakness. It's simply human nature. Your brain is fundamentally designed to seek consistency. It constantly looks for what matches its existing internal narratives, not necessarily for what is objectively true. In a strange way, your brain often wants to be right about its existing beliefs more than it wants you to be truly free from them. So if your deeply ingrained belief is "I'm not capable," your brain transforms into an unyielding detective, meticulously tracking down every single moment of hesitation, collecting your perceived failures like cherished trophies, and conveniently ignoring every single instance where you actually rose to the occasion and succeeded. Compliments simply bounce off you. Genuine successes are instantly minimized, and the debilitating story of your inadequacy grows stronger and stronger. But here's the truly hopeful part. The absolute opposite is also profoundly true. If you begin to believe, even just a tiny bit, that you genuinely matter, that you possess untapped potential, that there's unique value in what you bring to the table, something fundamental shifts. Within you, the very mind that was once your adversary suddenly transforms into your most powerful teammate. You'll start to effortlessly spot opportunities where you previously only saw insurmountable obstacles. Genuine encouragement no longer feels like a deceptive lie. It feels like pure, unadulterated fuel for your journey. Challenges cease to be damning proof of your unworthiness. Instead, they become invaluable exercises in growth. Your brain, now beautifully rewired to align with this more empowering belief, begins to bend reality itself to support this positive, life-affirming story. This internal shift isn't just a fleeting feeling. It can utterly change everything, not only within your own inner world, but also in how the external world responds to you. Consider a classic experiment from the 1960s. A group of researchers went into a school and randomly selected a few students. They then told the teachers that these specific students were late bloomers, who were destined to show remarkable intellectual growth that year. Here's the kicker: the students hadn't taken any special tests. They were no different from their classmates, but the teachers believed they were special, and that quiet, unspoken belief subtly, profoundly transformed how they interacted with those students. They offered more patience, provided more encouragement, made more consistent eye contact, and gave them more focused attention. By the end of the year, those late bloomer students actually performed significantly better than their peers. Let that powerful insight truly sink in. Nothing changed except belief. But that one seemingly small shift in belief rippled outward, influencing teacher behavior, which in turn rippled into tangible, measurable student outcomes. The teachers saw something special, treated the students differently, and the students, in response, rose beautifully to meet that expectation. The true power of belief didn't just reside in the student's inherent capability. It resided in the teacher's perception. That perception blossomed into genuine care. That care sparked intentional action, and that action ultimately built a brand new reality for those students. Protecting your mental environment, being both teacher and student. No. Imagine yourself in this powerful dual role. You are both the teacher and the student. Your belief about yourself is the teacher. It's the inner voice that dictates how much grace you extend to yourself when you stumble, how much patience you practice when things are tough, and how much encouragement you offer when things inevitably go wrong. And your own mind, the student in this scenario, meticulously absorbs that treatment. It learns, it adapts, and crucially, it either grows or shrinks, depending on how it's consistently been treated by your beliefs. If you relentlessly feed your inner self-criticism, shower your potential with neglect, and wallow in self-doubt, don't be surprised when that's precisely what your mind begins to reflect back to you. But if you make a conscious, courageous choice to cultivate belief, not a blind, arrogant overconfidence, but a grounded, humble trust in your own ongoing becoming, you will be absolutely amazed at the incredible strength, resilience, and potential that begins to build inside you. We often fall into the trap of waiting for external proof to believe in ourselves. We yearn for someone else to pick us, to praise us, to formally give us permission to shine. But here's the liberating truth. Your mind doesn't need external proof. It needs permission from you. It needs you to believe just enough to take that crucial first step. That belief doesn't have to be loud or overtly public, but it must be undeniably present within you. Belief is not merely a fleeting feeling. It is a profound, daily practice. It's the conscious act of waking up each morning and deliberately choosing to see yourself through the lens of possibility, rather than being confined by limitation. It's the courageous act of rewriting the ingrained story that screams, "I can't handle this," into a more empowering narrative. This is hard, yes, but I am learning and I am growing. It's the conscious resistance against the pervasive urge to compare your messy chapter 1 to someone else's polished chapter 20. It's showing up with raw honesty and bravely declaring, "I'm not there yet, but I am absolutely not giving up." And here's another beautiful truth about belief. It's contagious. When you genuinely start to believe in yourself, a remarkable thing happens. Others start to believe in you too. Not because you've delivered a convincing sales pitch, but because your very actions begin to shift. You speak differently. You move with a newfound confidence. You start asking more insightful, more impactful questions. You dare to take different, calculated risks. People can sense your energy, your conviction, long before they fully understand your message, and genuine belief radiates an energy that is incredibly hard to ignore. Perhaps the most important takeaway of all is this: belief doesn't guarantee instant success, but it makes success profoundly possible. It meticulously creates the fertile conditions where genuine growth can actually take root and flourish. It swings open the very door that self-doubt so violently slams shut. It courageously offers a path forward when fear screams at you to turn around and retreat. Belief doesn't magically eliminate the hard moments, the inevitable struggles, or the crushing disappointments. What it does do is give you a powerful, unwavering reason to keep going through them. It provides the internal fuel to persist. So, take a moment, ask yourself, with unflinching honesty, what do I truly believe about myself, about my innate potential, about my inherent worth? And then, dig a little deeper. Where did these specific beliefs come from? Were they inherited unconsciously from your family or culture? Or were they consciously chosen by you? Were they spoken into existence by someone who genuinely saw your true potential in essence? Or by someone merely projecting their own pain, limitations, or insecurities onto you? Your beliefs, the ones that might be holding you back, might not be your fault in terms of their origin, but they are, unequivocally, your responsibility to address now. You might not have been able to control where they came from, but you absolutely have the power to choose whether they stay. You are not permanently stuck with the narrative you inherited. You are not eternally defined by what you used to believe about yourself. Belief is exactly like a muscle. It gets demonstrably stronger with consistent use. Every single time you choose to trust your own inner voice, to bravely follow your innate curiosity, to courageously show up in the face of fear, you actively build that muscle of belief. Every single time you take a decisive step forward despite feeling utterly uncertain, that belief muscle grows firmer, more resilient, and more powerful within you. It's a continuous process, a journey of choosing yourself again and again. It's truly a radical act, perhaps the most profound thing you can do, to believe in yourself. And not just because you've already proven your capabilities, but because you possess an unyielding willingness to simply try. There's a persistent whisper deep inside you that outright refuses to settle for a life shackled by doubt. It's the quiet conviction that even if the path ahead is shrouded in mist, unclear and uncertain, you are still meant to walk it anyway. Belief isn't about pretending everything is perfectly fine or that challenges don't exist. Far from it. It's about a deep, unwavering knowing that you are enough to begin. It's not about having every single answer laid out neatly before you. It's about the profound trust that you will find them as you go. Think about this. What you truly believe, your mind will meticulously build around. So, you must be incredibly careful and deliberate about what you choose to believe. Because one day, perhaps sooner than you think, you'll awaken to find yourself living in the very house your thoughts have constructed. Make it a place truly worth living in, a place of comfort, growth, and genuine fulfillment. Beyond the metrics, the soul's hunger for meaning. Find ourselves living in a world utterly obsessed with metrics. From the moment we're young, we're subtly, sometimes overtly, taught to measure our inherent worth by external factors. What we earn, the number of followers we accumulate on social media, the impressive degrees that hang on our office walls. Achievement quickly becomes the primary currency of validation. We begin to equate sheer success with profound significance, as if one automatically guarantees the other. But here's the crucial truth no one seems to tell us. Achievement without meaning is like trying to fill a cracked vessel with water. No matter how much you pour in, it will never, ever truly fill you up. The mind, on a superficial level, might crave those tangible milestones, the checkboxes ticked off. But at its deepest core, it thrives on meaning. It yearns for something far more substantial than fleeting applause, more lasting than prestigious titles, deeper than the euphoria of the next big win. It desperately wants to know the fundamental why. It asks, why does this truly matter? Consider, for a moment, the hypothetical person who dedicates their entire life to climbing the corporate ladder. With every exhausting step higher, they are told, and they believe, that more fulfillment, greater financial reward, and increased prestige will follow. But what often happens? They reach the very top, look around, and in that stark moment of realization, they understand they've painstakingly built their ladder against the wrong wall. It's a profoundly lonely place to be, isn't it? To be surrounded by every outward symbol of success, yet inwardly starved of genuine significance. Because the undeniable truth is, the mind doesn't truly awaken for mere achievement. It wakes up for purpose. Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the unspeakable horrors of the Holocaust, grasped this truth in the most brutal and harrowing context imaginable. Amidst the darkest conditions, stripped of everything, he unearthed a profound, undeniable truth. Those who possessed a reason to live could survive virtually anything. That deep-seated why, the intrinsic meaning behind the suffering, the very purpose that fueled their existence, became a lifeline. It gave their minds something, anything, to hold onto when every other shred of hope, every comfort, every external support was brutally stripped away. His invaluable insight wasn't born in the cushioned comfort of a privileged life. It was forged in unimaginable pain. And that, precisely, is what makes it so incredibly powerful. Because if meaning can sustain a human spirit in the hellish confines of a concentration camp, just imagine, truly imagine, what it can do for us in the complexities and challenges of our daily lives. The echo of "is this it?" A signal, not a failure. And yet, despite this profound truth, we remain relentlessly conditioned to seek validation through an endless series of checklists. We're told, get the degree, get the perfect job, buy the dream house, secure the big promotion. And so we chase, we strive, we achieve. But when we finally get there, after all that relentless pursuit, we're so often left with a hollow echo. Is this it? This feeling, this unsettling emptiness, is not a sign of failure. No, it is a signal. It's your mind, your deepest self, whispering to you that it was never after achievement alone. It craved something deeper, alignment. It wanted to know, with absolute certainty, that the work you were doing mattered, that it wasn't just about hitting arbitrary numbers or fulfilling someone else's expectations, but about genuinely making a difference in the world. It wanted the art you created to be not just seen, but felt to stir something within others. It longed for parenting to be not just about raising children, but about profoundly shaping futures. It yearned for our very existence to leave a lasting, meaningful trace, something that genuinely outlives us, a legacy of true impact. Consider the poignant example of retirees who, after decades of diligently building immense wealth, suddenly fall into a deep depression when they stop working. It's not, as many might assume, because they miss the steady paycheck. It's because they miss the purpose. Their days, for so long, had structure. Their actions had context. Their efforts had a clear direction. without a compelling reason to get up each morning. Even the softest, most luxurious bed can feel like a suffocating prison. Their minds weren't starved of comfort. They were starved of meaning. And this phenomenon isn't confined solely to retirement. It's a pattern we observe time and again, with athletes after their championship victory, with entrepreneurs after a successful company exit, with artists after the creation of their masterpiece. We often label it the post-success slump, but what we're truly experiencing is the gaping void where meaning used to reside. It's that chilling moment of realization that the shiny trophy, the grand title, the massive bank account, none of it was ever the ultimate point. The true point was always the impact, the rich journey, the people you touched, the cause that gave it power. Strip that away, and what were we left with? Just a polished, glittering emptiness. But here's the profound beauty in all of this. Meaning isn't something you stumble upon by accident, like a lost coin. No, it's created. It's meticulously forged in the deliberate, conscious decision to connect what you do, however big or small, to something significantly bigger than yourself. Think about it. When your job, any job, transforms into an act of service, suddenly even the most mundane, repetitive tasks can become sacred. The nurse doesn't merely administer medicine, they restore hope to a frightened patient. The teacher doesn't just deliver lessons from a textbook, they ignite futures and inspire young minds. The cashier who offers a genuine smile and a kind word to a lonely customer might, unbeknownst to them, be providing the only human connection that person experiences all day. That matters, and when the mind truly realizes that its actions, however small, genuinely matter, it doesn't just survive, it thrives. This is precisely why burnout isn't solely about working long hours. At its core, burnout is about disconnection. People can work grueling 80-hour weeks and still feel vibrantly alive, brimming with energy, if they genuinely believe their efforts serve a powerful purpose. But give them a meaningless 9 to 5, where their contributions feel insignificant, and they'll wilt and fade in half the time. Why? Because the human mind isn't wired for meaningless motion. It's intrinsically wired for mission. Purpose doesn't add weight or burden. It adds wings, lifting us to heights we never thought possible. Consider the incredible resilience of parents who work multiple jobs, stretching themselves incredibly thin, simply to provide for their children. They are often exhausted, physically drained, yet they rarely complain. Why? Because, in their minds, every single hour worked is a profound act of love. They know, unequivocally, why they are doing it. That deep, intrinsic knowledge transforms what would otherwise be a crushing sacrifice into an incredible source of strength. It grants them an almost superhuman endurance. It imbues their daily struggles with profound dignity. That, my friends, is the unparalleled power of meaning. It turns the seemingly unbearable into the absolutely unshakable. We see this same transformative power beautifully illustrated in art. The painter who courageously uses their own trauma as a brush, channeling pain onto canvas. The poet who takes their heartbreak and meticulously weaves it into words that bring healing to others. The songwriter whose raw, honest lyrics speak directly to the voiceless, making them feel seen and heard. They aren't just creating for the fleeting applause or critical acclaim. They are creating from a place of deep purpose. And when that kind of work born of authenticity and driven by meaning reaches others, it resonates in a way that mere metrics or superficial praise never could. Why? Because it wasn't made to impress, it was made to express. That distinction, that fundamental difference, is everything. Purpose is the invisible force that makes effort feel profoundly worthwhile. It's what allows pain to become transformative, rather than utterly destructive. It's the unwavering anchor that enables us to walk through devastating setbacks, without losing heart, without collapsing under the weight of despair. When you truly know your why, when you have that crystal clear understanding of your ultimate reason, the how of getting there, no matter how daunting, often becomes not just bearable, but sometimes even profoundly beautiful. Here's the wonderful irony in all of this: when you finally stop relentlessly chasing meaning through achievement, and instead begin consciously creating meaning with intention, you often end up achieving far more than you ever thought possible. Why? Because your work is no longer fueled by the draining forces of fear or the fragile demands of ego. Instead, it's powered by an unstoppable combination of passion, clarity, and deep conviction. And people can instinctively feel that genuine energy. They are drawn to it. They rally round it. It becomes undeniably contagious. So, if you find yourself feeling profoundly stuck, trapped in a rut you can't seem to escape, it might not be because you're failing in any objective sense. It might simply be because you're deeply disconnected from why you started in the first place. Perhaps your job isn't inherently meaningless. It's just missing the vital lens of purpose through which you view it. Maybe your days aren't truly wasted. They're simply waiting to be powerfully reframed. Perhaps your mind isn't broken or malfunctioning. It's just incredibly hungry. Hungry for something real, something substantial, something that can't be easily counted, measured, or quantified, but can absolutely, undeniably be felt. Meaning doesn't demand grand, sweeping gestures or monumental acts of heroism. It lives quietly yet powerfully in the small things done with great intention. A genuine kind word offered to a stranger, a shared meal with loved ones, truly present in the moment, a commitment faithfully kept, even when difficult, a cherished dream relentlessly pursued, one tiny step at a time. Your mind notices these subtle yet profound things. It awakens to their significance, and when it does, it responds not with the draining weight of stress or the creeping exhaustion of fatigue, but with pure joy, with profound presence, and with an energy that doesn't burn out, but rather burns ever brighter. Achievement. Those external markers of success might get you to a certain point, but meaning is what makes you stay. It's what gives the entire journey its pulsating heartbeat, its very lifeblood. And when your mind is truly imbued with meaning, you don't just show up to your life. You light up every single day, radiating an inner glow that others can't help but notice. There's something incredibly powerful, almost magical, that occurs when we finally stop guarding our thoughts like closely held secrets and instead begin to see them as precious seeds. Your mind, your intricate tapestry of stories, your hard-won lessons, your undeniable failures, and your exhilarating triumphs. It's not merely a private archive meant for your eyes only. It is a gift, and like any truly valuable gift, its ultimate power isn't found in possessing it, in hoarding it. Its profound power lies in giving it away. It's an easy trap to fall into, isn't it? To believe that what we've experienced, what we intimately know, isn't significant enough to share with the world. We tell ourselves we need a massive platform, an impressive title, a colossal social media following, or a best-selling book before our words could possibly matter. But that, my friends, is a lie we tell ourselves to avoid the discomfort of vulnerability. The liberating truth is that your unique voice doesn't need to echo across the entire world. To be profoundly meaningful, sometimes it only needs to reach one single person, just one person who is hurting deeply, one person who feels utterly lost, one person who is desperately searching for someone, anyone, to simply say, "Me too. I've been there. I understand." The intrinsic value of your mind doesn't diminish when it's shared. It expands exponentially. Every single time you bravely tell someone how you navigated through heartbreak, how you painstakingly rebuilt your life after profound loss, how you wrestled with crippling self-doubt, and yet still found the strength to stand back up, you are, in essence, building a bridge. And that bridge, that fragile yet sturdy connection, may very well be the only path someone else can find in their own personal darkness. Think, for a moment, about the people who have most deeply impacted your life. Chances are, it wasn't because they were flawlessly perfect or impeccably polished. No, it was because they were honest, they were real, they were brave enough to show you their scars, brave enough to pull back the curtain and let you see the messy, authentic truth of their journey, brave enough to simply say, "Here's what I've learned from my struggles. Maybe, just maybe, it'll help you too." Malala didn't wait for the world to give her official permission to speak. She didn't wait for guaranteed safety. She certainly didn't wait for an assurance that her powerful words would be universally welcomed. She understood, within clarity, beyond her years, that what she carried inside her mind, her fierce conviction, her moral clarity, her unwavering truth was simply too valuable, too vital, to be locked away. Her story, etched in courage, teaches us that even when it's dangerous, even when it's absolutely terrifying. The sheer act of sharing your truth can be utterly revolutionary. But let's bring this profound concept closer to your everyday life. Look around you right now. Look at your family, your closest friends, your colleagues at work. Every single one of them is going through something: a struggle, a fear, a quiet battle that you know absolutely nothing about. And sometimes, just knowing that someone else has walked a remarkably similar path is enough to keep them going, to give them that tiny flicker of hope. You don't need to possess all the answers, to be the guru with perfect solutions. You just need to show up, to speak up, to courageously say, "Here's what I know, here's my truth," and you can have it. Perhaps you've bravely overcome crippling anxiety. Maybe you've wrestled with the insidious beast of imposter syndrome, feeling like a fraud despite your accomplishments. Perhaps you've journeyed through seasons where you felt utterly invisible, completely forgotten, unsure of your true place in this vast, often confusing world. That very journey, the one you might dismiss as ordinary or insignificant, is often the exact thing someone else out there is praying, pleading to hear. We consistently underestimate the incredible influence of empathy, of freely shared wisdom, of a perfectly timed story delivered with genuine care. But here's the undeniable truth. Human connection is fundamentally built on shared minds, not just shared moments. When you generously offer someone a piece of your hard-won insight, your unique perspective, your personal growth, you're giving them something far more potent than mere advice. You're giving them hope. The world, believe it or not, has no shortage of raw knowledge. What it's truly starving for, what it desperately yearns for, is courage. The courage to speak what's real, what's raw, what's undeniably true. The courage to say things not to impress, not to boost your own ego, but to genuinely impact another human being. Because the greatest minds throughout history didn't just invent groundbreaking technologies or formulate complex theories. They inspired, they profoundly moved people. They quite literally changed the temperature of a room simply by being willing to think out loud, to vocalize their deepest thoughts, and to give away their brilliant ideas like a wildfire spreading across dry plains. So please, for your own sake and for the sake of others, don't keep your best thoughts, your deepest insights, locked away behind the formidable prison of fear. Don't wait for some elusive state of perfection. Someone out there, right now, desperately needs what you carry, exactly as it is, before it's perfectly polished, before it's meticulously refined, before it feels completely safe. They need the messy version, the honest version, the raw version that candidly says, "I don't have it all figured out, not by a long shot, but here's what I've seen and learned so far." Because here's the truly beautiful paradox of sharing your mind. The more you give it away, the more it miraculously grows. Wisdom multiplies when it moves freely from one mind to another. Insight deepens and expands when it's actively used to lift and empower others. Your true influence doesn't stem from being the loudest, most dominant voice in the room. It emanates from being the most generous with your authentic truth. We exist in a digital age where people are scrolling endlessly, their fingers numb, their eyes weary, constantly searching for a flicker of meaning in the vast sea of information. And perhaps, just perhaps, your story is the one that will finally help them stop scrolling. Maybe your unique insight is the one that will cut through all the deafening noise and resonate deeply within them. Perhaps your simple act of kindness, your genuine presence, is the one that brings breath back into someone who feels like they're utterly drowning. Every single moment you've endured, every difficult lesson you've learned, every single scar you carry, it all matters. It all fundamentally belongs, and it was never, ever just for you. It was always, always meant to be passed on, not in a dry, academic lecture, not in a theatrical performance designed to impress, but in genuine conversation, in authentic connection, in that sacred, unspoken moment when someone else hears your raw, honest words and thinks, with a surge of hope, if they made it through, that maybe, just maybe, I can too. So, I implore you, stop waiting for the perfect time to share what's truly inside you. That perfect moment will likely never arrive. Stop underestimating the immense power of your unique voice. It is far more impactful than you realize. Stop treating your brilliant ideas like they need external permission to exist. They don't. Your mind is an unparalleled treasure, not a trophy. Meant to sit on a dusty shelf, it's not something to keep locked away. It's something to freely, generously pour into the world. Yes, there will always be an inherent risk. There will always be vulnerability. There will undoubtedly be people who misunderstand you, who criticize you, who summarily dismiss you. But crucially, there will also always be people who are profoundly changed by your courage, who find a vital piece of themselves, a guiding light, in what you've dared to share. And that, my friend, is worth everything. Your mind was never designed to be a sealed vault, hoarding its contents in secrecy. It was meant to be a lighthouse, not to hoard its own brilliant light, but to courageously cast it out, to guide lost ships, to warn of hidden dangers, and to warmly welcome weary travelers home. So, be bold, be incredibly generous, be utterly unafraid to stand up and declare, "This is what I know. This is my truth, and I offer it to you with an open heart." Because when you do that, you don't just change minds, you fundamentally change lives. And that, above all else, is the kind of immeasurable value that no one can ever truly quantify, but absolutely everyone can profoundly feel. Therefore, if you take nothing else away from these words, please remember this one essential truth. Your mind is your most precious treasure. Treat it with the reverence it deserves. Feed it like it matters. Rest it like it matters. Challenge it constantly. Believe in its boundless potential. Align it powerfully with your true purpose. And then, with an open heart and courageous spirit, give it generously to the world. Because when you protect and nurture the most valuable thing you own, you will inevitably unlock the most powerful, authentic version of who you are. And the world, now more than ever, desperately needs that. If you like this video, found it helpful, and feel motivated, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, leave a comment and share it with your friends and family.